Is being in a calorie surplus the only way that you can build muscle? The short answer is no. But stick around and I'm going to explain the benefits and the negatives of being in a calorie surplus, and also how you can build muscle without having to be in a calorie surplus. There are many reasons as to why people go into a calorie surplus when they are building muscle. And the reason for that is because it does help you build muscle quicker. Having more food means more energy, which means it's better for protein synthesis, which is going to help your muscles grow quicker. The second one is you are going to have increased strength, which is going to in turn help with muscle growth because it's easier for you to progressively overload. Food is fuel. Remember this, ladies. So the more food you have is going to be more energy for your workouts. They're going to be more efficient. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be able to train harder, which in turn is going to help with muscle growth. Your recovery as well is going to be enhanced. Again, food is fuel. You're going to be eating more, which is going to be putting the correct nutrients into the right place, which is going to help with better recovery. This means that you can start to hit your sessions even harder because your recovery process is going to be better. And this is why a lot of professional athletes, people that are bodybuilders, etc. and stuff like that, they opt for doing phases such as a cut and a bulk. Now, there are some negatives to doing a muscle building phase in a surplus. And the first one is going to be excessive fat gain. When you are building muscle and you are in a calorie surplus, you are going to potentially have more fat gain than you would if you were in a maintenance or a slight deficit. And genetics play a big part in this as well. Some people can go into a bulk and still maintain a lean physique simply just because their genetics will help them with keeping that lean physique. Now, for other people, that might not be the case, and excessive fat gain isn't desirable for everyone. Personally, for me, when I go into a bulk, I personally really struggle because I do gain more fat because that's just how my genetics work. And I personally don't like that. It makes my body dysmorphia skyrocket. This leads me on to the next one, which is individual variation. Response to calorie surplus varies for everyone. So you might not be getting all of that muscle building just from being in a calorie surplus. It will be excessive fat gain. Another issue that a calorie surplus can cause could be excessive overeating. You have to make sure that you are doing a bulk carefully and you are doing it right and you are doing it with the right format and right training program, because otherwise you will risk to overeating, and again it's just going to lead to excessive fat gain. Now let's talk about how you can build muscle without being in a calorie surplus. Now the first thing that I'm going to tell you is building muscle in a calorie maintenance or a slight deficit is still going to work. However, the results will take longer. So this is all down to personal preference. If you want to be getting results within, 3 to 6 months, you're going to have to do a calorie surplus and you are going to potentially risk getting that fat as well. But if you're in this for the long haul, which you definitely should be because fitness is a lifestyle change, then you can do this in a maintenance or a slight deficit. Building muscle in a slight calorie deficit or a maintenance is more challenging, but it is not impossible. This is known as body recompositioning, where you are losing fat but also building muscle at the same time. Now, how you're going to do this? The first one is protein, and it is paramount that you are getting an adequate amount of protein in your diet to make sure that you are going to achieve this goal. You want to be aiming for 1.2 to 2.2 grams of protein for every kilogram of body weight you are. And why there is such a big variation, 1.2 to 2.2, because it really does vary on where you are at in your fitness journey. So for example, I have been training for a very long time. My body composition is I am more muscle than I am fat. So therefore I need more protein. So I would be in the higher range of around 2.2 grams. Whereas if you are a beginner, you want to start off with around 1.2, sorry. The second is strength training. We all know that weight training is really important, and it is, especially when you are looking to build muscle in a slight calorie deficit or maintenance. Aim for a progressive overload and increasing intensity over time. Remember that progressive overload doesn't need to be weight. This can be done with reps, time under tension, increasing the intensity, supersets, and all things like that. I've done a video about that on my page. Your caloric balance needs to be tracked properly. Now, calorie counting doesn't work for everyone. Some people really do struggle with it. It can cause mental problems in terms of, that battle between the relationship that you have with food. But when you are looking to be body recomping, it's a very intricate thing and it needs that extra attention and care. So personally, I would be recommending to do calorie counting in order to get the results that you want during this journey. The next one is macronutrients. Being in a slight calorie deficit or a slight maintenance doesn't mean shit if you are not counting your macronutrients. You need to be getting a balanced variation in your diet of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. You need to be counting your macros. I saw such a massive difference in my body composition when I started actually counting my macronutrients and not just counting my calories. I was getting the right amount of fats, I was getting the right amount of carbohydrates, and I was hitting my protein intake every single day. And the next one is adequate rest. When you're in a slight calorie deficit or a maintenance, when you are looking to build muscle, you need to make sure that you are resting. Because with a calorie surplus, yes, okay, you still need to be resting, but you've got that added food to help your muscles recover. Now, when you are doing it in a slight deficit, you don't have those extra calories to help you with that recovery. So you need to make sure that you are getting it in other ways, whether that be your sleep, rest day, looking after yourself, self-care. You need to make sure that you are on top form with that. Yes, you still need to do it in a calorie surplus, but you have got those extra nutrients to make sure that you are having that muscle repair and growth. And the next one is you need to be tracking your cardio. When you're doing cardio, you burn a lot of calories, okay? You burn a lot more calories doing cardio, doing, slow, steady state cardio than you do lifting weights. So this means that it could be putting you into more of a calorie deficit than you think, which is fine if your goal is fat loss. But if you are looking to build muscle, you need to make sure that you are having the right amount of calories. So how many calories should you be aiming for? Now, that's obviously down to every single individual. I have not got a single client who is on the same calories. Every single one of my clients has different calories because of their weight, their height, their age, and their activity levels. You need to figure this out yourself. So you want to be in either a maintenance or a slight calorie deficit. Now, your calorie deficit is going to be by maximum 150 to 200 calories, which is the size of a large banana and maybe a Baby Bell. So then you're still getting the right nutrients to go to your muscles and fuel your workouts, but you're also still in that slight deficit, so that fat gain is not going to happen. And remember, patience and consistency. When you are body recomping and you are looking to do it for the long haul, your results could take a very long time. Your results could take up to a year. But it works really, really well for people that don't want to gain weight and they don't want to gain fat, but they just want to build that muscle. So it just depends on what specific goals you are looking for. I really, really hope this helped. I know that it's a long ass video, but take some tips from this, write it down, and love you, bye.